Good morning, Eddie. Just firstly, looking back at the other night in Brussels, on reflection, you've had time obviously to analyse and digest the match. How pleased were you with everything that you saw?
Yeah, it was a big step forward, I think. Very pleased. I think mainly with the response. The Arsenal game was a difficult ending, and then we had another game so soon, and we said straight after the game that we wanted the game to come around as quickly as it did, but then of course you've got to perform, and very pleased with the group of how we responded to that.
Did everybody who played come through okay? No fresh injuries from the other night?
Yeah, I think we're okay. Thinking off the top of my head, yeah, I don't think there's any fresh injuries.
Do you have any more information about Tino Livramento and the knee injury that he sustained against Arsenal?
Yeah, so we went to see a specialist a couple of days ago, and because the scan initially looked better than we maybe initially thought it was, and the specialist confirmed that it's an 8-week injury, roughly. So yeah, a blow to lose him for those 8 weeks, because with our schedule at the moment that means a lot of games. But what it could have been, I think it's very good news.
Is it a knee ligament injury, even though it's not the ACL?
Yeah, it is. It's a ligament injury, and that's why it will take the time that it will to recover. He's already had a couple of injections in the ligament to strengthen it up. But whenever a player stretch it off, and in the pain that he was in, you fear, maybe months. So it's good news for Tino. That's only weeks.
This weekend you play Nottingham Forest, the club that you signed Anthony Elanga from in the summer, and he was named man of the match in the Champions League the other night after playing a significant role in your victory. Obviously, he's been in and out of the team, as a few players have this season, but do you feel that we're really starting to see all the different sides to his game and what he's all about?
I think so. I think it's been there whenever he's played this season. I think he's had a number of big contributions. I think if you look back through all the games, he's had a number of moments that could have dictated the game. Very good crosser of the ball, whether that's early or whether that's working towards the byline. I think he's a productive player. Certainly playing with good confidence and good rhythm. And like I've said many times with other players, it's about getting to know your teammates around you. It's so important with how we play, the relationship side. And I think with each game, he'll get better in that respect.
And Nottingham Forest themselves are playing in Europe last night. They've had a difficult set of results under the new manager. What do you make of them when you watch them? I don't know whether they're in transition with one manager out, a new one in, quite a few new players as well this summer.
Yeah, a very strong group of players. I mean, I think a slight change in style, which is interesting always to see from the outside. I think definitely more possession-based, quite free in their movements, a lot of rotations in the attacking areas. I think, as always with any football match, you look at the games and you think that could have gone either way. So I think they're very strong, and I think they've got a good balance to their squad. Ange is an outstanding manager with a really good track record. So we know this game's a pivotal one for us going into the international break. We know that our Premier League form is crucial to us. So, it's a big match for us.
Thanks, Reza. Keith?
Eddie, you mentioned Ange there, and I don't know if you saw the game last night, but a section of the Forest fans, his own fans, towards the end singing, "You're getting sacked in the morning after just 23 days in charge. Who would be a football manager?"
Yeah, well, it's. I think we all know when we go into the job the fragility of it. Really, it's no amount of success previously can take you out of that firing line. We're all in it. We're all subjected to the same forces we're dictated to by results. But I think in any moment, whether it's good or bad, you've just got to be yourself, which Ange very much is, and I try to follow suit and just be myself and do the job to the best of my ability.
You spoke there about Tino and his injury. How crucial is it that you've got someone like Kieran Trippier there to come in and take his place with his experience and know-how at this crucial stage?
Yes, well, that's the beauty of the squad, the strength of the squad that we have, hopefully this year, which will make a difference for us. We've got some real depth in the defensive areas of the squad this year, and we're going to need that with the competitions and the games that we have. So yes, with Tino's injury is a big blow for us because of his versatility, his athleticism, his quality. But then when Kieran comes in and plays like he did, in the way that he did on Wednesday night, was great to see. And I've spoke many times about the values that he brings the squad, the experience he has, the quality he has on the ball. He's a big player.
And you mentioned the strength of the squad there, and I think none more so than in defence at the moment. You've got Malik Chow and Sven Botman, who played terrifically well the other night, and they actually both played very well against Arsenal, and I think people forget that despite the late concession of the goal. How big a headache are they giving you right now? Because you've obviously moved Dan out to left back, you've got Fabian back available as well. You've got decisions to make there, haven't you?
Yeah, great calls to make because of the quality of the players that you're talking about. I mean, seeing Sven playing the way that he has is a real reminder, not that I needed reminding, but a reminder to everybody, his qualities and how big a player he is for us and how much we've missed him because we've been without him for a long time. And then, of course, you speak in the same breath about Malik and how he's performed in recent games, and we know the qualities of Fabi and how well he's done consistently for us. So if we're going to be successful this season on many fronts, we're going to need those options. And I think that's a pleasing thing to have. Of course, then the players need to act in the right way if they're not playing, support the players that are and wait for their opportunity and grab it when it comes.
At the other end of the pitch, one player who hasn't had to wait for his opportunity is Nick Voltemad. I think probably in an ideal situation you would have probably given him less of the load, I think it'd be fair to say, in the early days. How do you feel he is handling that situation at the moment?
I think he's handling it really well. I think he is really great guy in a sense that he's very positive. He's continually laughing with his teammates. He seems very relaxed here. He seems at home already, which is absolutely crucial to his success on the pitch. He's taking direction and some things we're trying to adapt to his game, add into his game. I think he's been very receptive, which is great to see. But the most important thing for any goal scorer is he's scoring. And as long as he can continue to do that, then his own feeling will be really positive. And
he started, I think, 2 and 4. Is he physically in a position to start 3 and 7 at the weekend?
Well, we're making an assessment and judgment on that closer to the game, but I think physically the first game at Wolves was tough for him. As he explained afterwards, I think it was a shock to his system. But I think slowly but surely, as your system becomes used to those demands, I think you can get gains pretty quickly. So I think he's improved.
Thanks, Keith. Andy?
Well, Eddie, just continuing that theme on Nick Voltemad, the more you've seen him in training, the more you've seen him on a match day, you're starting to understand this nickname that he gleaned in Germany of Volta Messi, or not?
Well, he does things on the pitch that you don't necessarily see coming, and in a sense that his feet and his ability to manipulate the ball in tight areas is very, very good. I think the players, most importantly, are beginning to understand his game on the pitch. As I said before, we had limited training time, so from that side, we're not really doing a huge deal in between games to develop those relationships. It's on the pitch that it's happening, and you can see the lads really trust him with the ball, which is a great thing. I think when you're a player in that position, that your teammates want to give you it, they trust you, they know you're going to retain it in the best way possible. But his link play the other day, bringing the wingers into play, was of the highest level.
You mentioned there just kind of about his personality, I guess, his character. He's obviously come into a side that needed goals, a new team, a new country. Not apart from his personality, but what about his ability to handle pressure in a situation, in a number 9 position that always demands pressure?
Yeah, especially at this club. And I think that's never lost on me. I think the psychology factor, the responsibility that comes with the position, not everybody can take that here. I felt immediately when I spoke to him he could, and that's sometimes a gut feel rather than any statistical data that you can get. And you look historically, the best, or the players in that position that have had the best careers here have all had that ability to absorb pressure and go maybe without games without scoring, but still retain that belief in themselves. I think ultimately it comes down to that inner drive and that inner self-belief. It's absolutely crucial for any player in that position.
Just wanted to ask you about one of the players, Sandro Tonali. I think I was watching the game in the 89th minute. He galloped down the field like it was minute 1, like he'd only been playing for about 10 seconds. So you've seen a lot of players in your time. Have you seen many with the stamina that Sandro Tonali has? Because he seems to be everywhere all at once.
Yeah, he was impressive again on Wednesday, and his physicality is one of those standout attributes that he possesses. I think he makes the difference continually for us in that way. I think most midfielders now have to have that element of athleticism and ideally a gear change, when we're getting countered on or when we need to go forward. And I think he possesses a couple of gear changes that we've relied on a couple of times on Wednesday. But then you add to that his technical ability and his tactical understanding does make him a really good player.
There was a phrase going around probably after the Union game amongst fans, certainly, that Newcastle are starting to click at the moment. How far do you feel this team is off completely clicking at the moment?
No, I think we've got a few clicks to go. But I you know me well enough to know that I'd always be saying that regardless of how well we're playing. But certainly I think we're finding our rhythm and our belief. We're a new team. We're coming together. Although there's obviously some components that remain the same, any change is a change that takes time to absorb. But I'm confident that we can continue to get better, and we need to get better because the games come thick and fast.
Just finally, one on Elliot Anderson, obviously a player that you know very, very well now, an opposition player. From a personal perspective, how pleased are you to see him doing so well now? Yeah,
delighted for him. Every time I watch him play, there's mixed feelings. Very, very pleased for him personally and his family. Knowing just what a great lad he is, how hard he's worked at his game, how, seeing sort of behind the scenes how dedicated he was to his profession, very professional lad. And then you see how well he plays, and that's where the mixed feelings come in, because there's a regret that's not for us. Outstanding on the ball, great technician. Very, very brave. I love that about him early on. Started to work with him. He wants the ball in every situation and he uses it really, really well. And I hope his career continues to go from strength to strength.
Thanks, Andy. Nisha?
Morning, Eddie. Just following on from Andy's question about the team clicking, a couple of days after the OSG game, does it feel like it could be a turning point?
Well, I think we've got to try and use it to be that for us. Goals breed confidence. There's no denying that. If you are a free scoring team, or you believe you can score in any situation, the energy levels, the feeling within the group goes through the roof. And we've had that here for a long time. And this season's probably been the early season's probably been one of the only times where we've sort of struggled to translate that on the pitch. But I'm a firm believer that if you continue to do the right things, and we've got good players, that will come back. But of course the Premier League's different, so it's a different beast totally, and we have to continually prove that we can be the team that we want to be.
Football clubs now, you have so many analysts and you have all the data and everything, but in Anthony Elanga you've got a player who was very recently at the team you're about to play. Do you tap into his knowledge about their players particularly, or his ideas?
I think with a new manager there now, I think it becomes, I wouldn't say redundant, but I think I'll just let Anthony play and we'll do the analysis. I think leave him free. I've done that historically. I've always asked players about different situations because you can glean information that might be able to help you. But yeah, he's got a big enough job to do to focus on his own game.
And just finally, we saw the return of Fabian Schär and Lewis Hall. How are they getting on with their returns?
Yeah, I think Fabi has been good. Of course, concussion protocols we respect and we understand, and so he was given a strict protocol to follow, and he did, and now he's back fit. He looks good. Lewis has been slightly more complex, just trying to get him to feel totally comfortable within his body again. I think he's on the right path, and He's doing well, but we have to continue to make sure that we monitor his load.
Thank you.
Thanks, broadcasters. We'll go to Damien, George and Luke, please.
Hi Eddie, you talked earlier about the fragility of management. Do you still feel that here, even with what you've achieved over the last 4 years?
It's never gone away from me, the fragility of the profession that I'm in, because partly I think that's healthy for me though, because it drives me to work as hard as I do, because I want to stay in the job that I'm doing and I want to be successful at it. So you know that I'm a believer, and I was the same in my playing career. You take your eye off the ball for a second, you get lazy, or you get used to the same habits. That's not going to work. That's not going to bring you results. So you've got to continually think and push boundaries and get better. And to do that creates a lot of energy and a lot of thought, which drives the people around me mad, I'm sure. But for me, that's part of, as I say, what drives me and propels me forward.
And just on Elliot, I know you're not one for looking back, but how much does that still rankle with you, the whole situation that you ended up losing a player you obviously had very high hopes for?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's on my mind every day, but there's certain reminders and certain moments that still that didn't sit right with me then, doesn't sit right with me today. And that we as a football club were forced to make a decision that we didn't want to make. And a player that had given everything to rise through the ranks here and to try and play for Newcastle, that was sort of ended by financial restrictions. So, but it's happened, and as I said, we wish Elliot nothing but success. It's nothing at all to do with him. It's to do with the restrictions we were under.
Thanks, David. George?
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
Newcastle's midfield is obviously incredibly strong. Do you think Elliot would have been able to progress in the way he has at Forest if he'd stayed here?
That's a difficult question. Answering it honestly, maybe not at the pace that he has at Nottingham Forest. It's always tough to give you definitive answers on that, because a lot would have depended on Elliot and how he performed and how our other players in the squad performed around him as well. He was probably at a stage where he was desperate to play regular football, and I couldn't argue with that sort of train of thought. I want all my players to feel that and want that. But there was no denying that the ability we saw in him, and we knew that Elliot was going to be an outstanding player. So it was very much regretful that we lost him.
And that money was obviously very important to the club at the time, but sort of on reflection, or as time passes, it begins to feel like a bit of a bargain for Forest. Do you accept that?
Yeah, we knew that. We knew that the minute it was going to happen, or likely to happen, that we were massively selling him at a big discount. But the position we were in, we weren't in a very strong negotiating position at all. And it was that or a points deduction. So, as I said many times, we had no choice but to make the sale, but it was not one we wanted to do.
Thank you. Luke?
Do you think Elliot Anderson could come back to Newcastle United one day?
You could say the same about any player. I don't know. Certainly from my perspective, I've love him too, but I'm very respectful of the fact he's at another football club, and I'd never normally talk about another player in that way, so I won't change sort of that stance. But I think it's regretful that, as I said earlier, I repeat myself, but a player from the academy had given so much, and the club had given so much too as well. You have to acknowledge the coach's part, and all those years here, how people tried to develop his talents. For it not to be utilised here is a real shame.
Just a slight change of tack. What's happened with Joe Willock? He's not come off the bench. I think it's the last 3 games. He looked a bit disconsolate after the game. I don't know whether you noticed, but he looked a bit down as he walked off the pitch. What does he need to do to sort of get back into the team and sort of reignite his career here, really?
Yeah, it'd be the same of any player in his position. He needs to train well, fundamentally. Whenever a player's not playing as much as they want, they still have a window to impress me every day. And then, of course, when they play, when they get on the pitch, they've got to perform. They've got to grab every opportunity that comes their way to then get more minutes.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Lee, Craig, and then to Charlie, please. Lee.
Eddie, on Damien's question when he was talking about the fragility of the job, at Newcastle here, this season you lost to Liverpool and Barcelona, but you still went off to pretty much a standing ovation going around the pitch. Fans were chanting your name as well. How does that make you feel when you do see what happens at other football clubs?
Yeah, it's never lost on me that the response to disappointing results is fundamentally important, not just for me, but for everyone else. So from my side, as much as the defeats pain me, and it's the worst pain a football manager can feel, I think, it's a case of trying to thank everybody that's come to support us, and trying to put the defeat into context. And then all I ever ask is that the supporters give the players every ounce of backing they can while the game's going on. And then, of course, after the game, in my feeling that the supporters are free to express themselves how they wish. Now, if that's in a positive way, that's so gratefully received, because that keeps us together. And that keeps the feeling then for the players who enter the pitch the next week free just to think about football and nothing else, with no distractions. So it is greatly received and appreciated, but never taken for granted, because I know that we're in a results business ultimately.
Obviously, you've got a long-term sort of commitment here. You had the England sort of stuff last summer. There was a big discussion on the radio about Manchester United as well yesterday, with your name involved in it. Obviously, you're not going to comment on that, but can you just talk about the long-term commitment here and what you're building, and hopefully it can go on and be something for a long, long time?
Yeah, my commitment here is I'm all in. I'm 100% here. Always have been. My family is still here. We're fighting every day to try and make a success of what we're doing. And the season ahead could be a wonderful thing. And that's really what I want to focus on, is trying to make a success of the games we have coming up.
Thank you. Craig?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Just one more on Elliot, and just as a coach, what is he? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? Is he a 10? You sometimes used him out wide. Sort of analyse his best use of his role. He played in Serbia this month for England. Was outstanding. He almost covered every position. What do you see him as?
I see him as all of those things, really. I think it's very difficult to define one position for him, and it's not many players I can say that about. I think he's got unique strengths. So he's very good deeper, which we didn't really utilise him in that role because we played with one player deeper, but with Nottingham Forest he's played with 2, and with England he's played with 2, and he's done that really, really well. Definitely can see him playing higher up the pitch as well, as an 8 or a 10. He's very good in central areas, but also very good wide. He was really good for us playing wide left. So yeah, very, very talented player technically. I mean, can do anything he wants with the ball, and those players are very precious.
You've spoken a lot about rotation in the last couple of weeks, and it's been evidenced by your team selection. Is there a temptation for this one, given the 2-week break is after it, just to go again with the same 11, given the feel good coming out of Wednesday?
There's a temptation to do lots of things. Yeah, let's see what I pick.
Thanks, Craig. Got to Charlie, then to Dominic and Martin, please.
Morning, Eddie. Just following on from Lee's question. Tuesday will mark 4 years since the takeover. I'm just wondering how you reflect on what's been a pretty wild ride for you and your team.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures of the takeover happening from afar and thinking that was a really special moment for the club. Didn't know that I'd be involved in it in any way at that stage, but of course time passes so quickly. But also, while saying time passes quickly, we've been involved in an incredible journey, as you say. The last few years has been an amazing time, and look back with such fond memories. But of course, now my desire is to try and create more.
And with there being further talk of stadiums and training grounds and more investment, if I could ask you to look into your crystal ball and predict where Newcastle's going to be in 4 years' time, could you do that for us?
I can try, and it's blank, so I can't tell. I'm not good at looking at the into any crystal balls. All I can do is, try and focus on day by day, trying to get better.
Thanks, Charlie. Dominic?
Morning, Eddie. You touched on managing Lewis Hall's load earlier, and given Sunday is your only game for the next 2 weeks, is he fit enough and available to start against Nottingham Forest on Sunday?
Yeah, I'd say he'd be available. But Lou's had just a couple of little things in his body where he's not felt 100% right. So we've got to try and get him back where he's fit and robust enough to just, as he was before his injury, he was playing regularly, and he looked physically great at that moment. But sometimes we forget how young he is, and there is a thought that we have to look after him, and he will get to that stage where he's able to play fluently again, and I'm sure take the load, no problem. Even with the game schedule we have, I see a time when he can be playing all the games that he wants to play. Of course, a couple of things on that, he has to play well, but I think at this moment we just got to look after him a little bit.
And is Dan Burn at left back almost an emergency solution to that, or is that something we should get used to moving forward?
Who knows? I think Dan's done it historically and he's done it very well. I think he's done it well the last 2 games. Been very pleased with him because it's not an easy transition to make. But of course, when we utilise him there, he doesn't play as an out-and-out left back. People will label him as that, but we're much more fluid than that.
Thanks, Dom. Go to Martin, then Sean, please.
Morning, Eddie. Can you hear me okay?
I've got you.
my instincts are telling me to keep this really, really simple. After Elliot and Sean Longstaff leaving, is there a greater determination to hold on to Lewis Miley?
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's a very good question, I have to say, because
I was due one apparently.
Yeah, but Louis is an outstanding talent. I can't say that enough. I got very similar feelings towards him that I did to Elliot. I think Louis can be whatever he wants to be from this moment onwards. I don't want to put too much pressure on him. He's still got to perform and do his part in his development. But yeah, he should be really appreciated because I think he's another unique player, so good technically. Credit to all the coaches here for the work they've put into him in the early ages, because he can do a little bit of everything, and he's also got the added attribute of size and athleticism. So yeah, he's got the lot.
And how important is it to have that northeast heartbeat inside the football club?
It's crucial for me. Since the day I arrived, I realised the importance of the Geordie core, and we don't want to lose that. I think it's so important you have a presence from the local community in your squad if you can. Obviously, they've got to be good enough to play and to represent the club in that way. But they're special, and they need to be again treated as such, because I think you always want that representation if you can from inside the club.
So last one on Elliot. He's becoming an England regular now. Is he good enough to go on and captain that team at some point in his career?
Yeah, I mean, great character. Captaincy, that's not for me to decide, but winner, wanted to win everything. Very, very passionate, and a really good pro, which, great combinations for him.
Thanks, Martin. Sean?
Morning, Eddie. You just mentioned there from Martin said about the Geordie core, and obviously you didn't really want to lose Elliot Anderson in an ideal world. Jamie Carragher was awarded the One Club Man trophy from Athletic Bilbao recently. Is there a fear that that era of the One Club Man sort of coming to an end, and academy players are sort of being bred for pure profit rather than representing the boyhood clubs for the rest of the career?
Yeah, I don't know if that will disappear. I think there'll always be a place, and I think there'll always be players that do stay. Maybe rarer than previously, but I do believe that the ones that are treasured and obviously break in early and do well, and especially if they're at a big club and they're performing really well, that they will decide to stay. Yeah, I do think it's slightly sad that the academy products are seen as a vehicle to sell and generate profit. That side of it, for me, it just doesn't go in tune with the development of players, which ultimately is crucial at the younger ages.
And just sort of following on from that as well, Richard Masters said this week that there could be an alternative vote on PSR rules. Would that be something that you would welcome?
Well, it depends what you're voting in. So I'd need to see, before I'd say I prefer one or the other, I'd need to see the two arguments.